Hello everybody and welcome back to Garage Your Dad, and today I've got an exciting one for you. I've always fancied a Votex rear spoiler for my A2 and I've finally got one, and there it is. And it's a bit unusual this because I'm actually starting a video with the end of the video, and the reason being in that I just want to show you what it was like and the process on how I've actually made the thing. To buy them, they're very expensive and they're very rare to get, and I thought the only way to get one would be to make one for myself, and this is what I've done. And on this video I'll show you how I've done it step by step, and the materials that I've used and how I put it together and the finishing result. So if anybody wants to tackle this, you're welcome to try, but I must warn you that the materials for it are very expensive and also quite hard to get if you're not in the know on how to get sort of PVCs. But I'll put a link in the description as to where to get the materials for this, and hopefully by the end of it you'll be rearing to go and make your own. So here we go. So what I'm going to do first is make a template of the original spoiler so that I can then cut out a template for the new spoiler out of the cardboard. And to take a template of the original spoiler, I have this application paper that I use for vinyl graphics, transferring the graphics onto vehicles. So I'll just put this in the back of the car, draw around it, and then stick it on here and draw out the shape that I want the new spoiler surface to be. So I managed to get a really good template with a paper, using the paper method rather than putting the cardboard on and trying to cut round it. And I'm going to use this 5mm PVC for the top of the spoiler. Now, I would be better using the polycarbonate, but I've got loads of this PVC and it's easily cut. You just cut it with a knife and you can get a really good sharp edge for butting it together and eventually gluing it, and hopefully won't have to use, well, any filler really, but I'll use a sort of plastic glue to stick it all together. So I'm going to cut round this template, and I'm going to allow maybe 5mm all the way around, just so that it fits nicely onto the back of the old spoiler. And now I'm going to cut right down through the plastic. And there you have it. I offered this one up to the car, and you can see that it's overlapping by that amount, and also on the original this is actually square and it comes to a point here, so I'm going to recut this one on this bit of material and cut it to the right shape this time. Just take it to the same point on here, and it comes off at a tangent here right down to that point. So there we've got the basic shape. So I'll cut this one out. And just to smooth off with some sandpaper to get a nice smooth edge in it. The next thing is to put a little strip along the back here, and it's about 3/4 of an inch wide. So I've cut this strip here and I have to glue it into place using a special tensile cement for this PVC. And once I've got that in place, it needs a little return underneath, which I'm not quite sure how I'm going to do yet, but I'll probably put another bit underneath like that, and then put a bit of filler between the two and round it all off, round the top corner, round the bottom corner, and the filler off, to make it look as though it's returning back underneath the spoiler, which is what the original one is like. So before I glue this bit onto here, I'm just going to round this edge off, and because once I glue it onto here, I don't want to be rubbing it down, you know, because it'll put stress on the join, and I'll probably put a little bit of tensile cement in the back of the joint to support it as well. So this is the best picture I've got of a Votex rear spoiler, and this is actually Ian's spoiler that was at the show, so I'm going to try and replicate this part here. So now I've just got to figure out how to make the end piece here, and as I said, it not only tilts that way, it tilts that way as well. So I've got this bit of card, and I'll just roughly mark it. To the angle of the window, and I'll cut this bit first. That's pretty much it, and now I'll just draw a line off a tangent for the top of the spoiler. Now I have to take into account the thickness of the PVC, and then it's going to have to come up to about there, so I've probably got a wee bit in there. I might have to recut this. That's the end piece cut, and this fits on here like that, so I'm going to have to go out to the car and make sure that everything fits together perfectly. So the shape is perfect now, so I'm going to draw out and cut the shape out in 10mm PVC, and because the end caps are 20mm thick, I'm going to have to cut out 4 of these, obviously 2 for one side and 2 for the other, and then there'll be a little problem because there's only a 10mm gap down the edge of the spoiler, so I'm going to have to shape the inner one to match the end of the existing spoiler so that it fits in nice and snug. You'll see what I mean in a minute. Right, I'll offer it up to the old spoiler. Put the end caps on. So there's a little bit to come off this bit here. And some more filler to put on the other side, just to even it up, make it level. I always fiddle about with it too much. And then it starts to go off, and then I can't move it. I have to redo it. I've got it held in position now with these clamps, and then I'm going to put the end pieces on and glue them in place with the tensile cement and hardener, and then secure them temporarily with the tape so that they don't move. Just hold for a minute. Yeah, I'll let that cure for half an hour now. That's it basically finished, it's all assembled, and with it being PVC, it's as light as a feather, which is good. But although it's glued, I'm still going to put some grip fill in here, and I've already put a stainless steel screw in here just to give it something to grab onto, and I'll put grip fill around all these edges and right along here just to give it a bit of strength, you know, because it's only glued along there and it might come away. It probably won't, but I just want to have it more secure. So I'll do that in both ends, and I just use this, and I use this a lot with the PVC signs for joining panels together, and it seems to do the job. That's the grip fix all sealed and set. So I'm just going to try it up for one last time, but make sure it fits nice and snug before I put the primer on it. It actually fits nice and snug, and I look a bit surprised, don't I? I'm quite pleased with that. That's it ready for the primer now, and I'm going to spray it with this high build grey primer, and it's a plastic primer, and I'm going to give it a few coats and then rub it down with some 600 wet and dry. There we go. That's it all primed, rubbed down and ready for top coat. So the A2 is Audi Light Silver LY7W, and I've got this base coat here, and then I'm going to clear coat it once I've got 2 or 3 coats of this on. And finally, the clear coat. Well, that's it done. And I'm quite pleased with it. It's quite light, so it should fit well. I've just left it primer on the back, because you won't see this bit at all. But now the only thing left to do is to fit it. Yeah, it fits in nicely. I'm quite happy with the fit. It looks good in the silver. But this may sound daft, but I'm not quite sure if I'm going to fit it to my car yet, because I do like the black and silver look, and I quite like the subtle black spoiler on of the original. This may be too sort of young for me, but I'll see if it'll grow on me in the next 2 or 3 days, and whether I'm going to fit it or not. But the way I was going to fit it was I was going to put tiger seal right round here, possibly around there, and double-sided tape along there, and just squeeze it down flat by the use of clamps, and that should hold it pretty tight. But as I said, I'm not quite sure if I'm going to fit it yet. I hope you've enjoyed the instruction, you know, and be inspired to make one of your own. It's quite easy to make. There's some tricky angles in there, but if you use the soft material, they're easy to file down, and it's easy to glue together and fill and paint, etc. Hi, the video was supposed to end there, but I just wanted to do a little add-on here regarding both just the spoiler and also post Deergate. I filmed most of the spoiler takes before I had the deer in Mull, and oh, shut up, it's one of these pop 'em and buying guys, I hate them. Before I had the deer on Mull, and it's made me have a little rethink on the whole A2 1.6 FSI thing, but that might be for another video. But I've decided not to fit the spoiler, but I'm just going to show you first how one or two things about putting the spoiler together and how it fits nice and snugly onto the car. So I've not actually fitted the spoiler onto the car, it's just sitting on, but it sits on really snug, and I managed to get all the dimensions absolutely spot on. So it's something that you can replicate at home. Now I'll quickly show you one or two things about this spoiler on how I made it. So you've got the main part here, which is just a flat sheet. And then I've got this upright, or it sits down off the top part, and it's glued right round here, and then it's sanded round. And then I've got another thin strip in here, and then filler on the back here, and then this is just rounded here and rounded there, just to give the appearance of it being one, you know, one a one-piece spoiler, you know what I mean, like the one below it. On the end here, you've got to route out this part here, and I've actually made this with two 10mm panels of PVC. The problem being that I didn't have any 18mm in stock, but you're better making this out of one piece. But you have to route out this in here, and I've got the dimensions for this because it's so narrow here. It's got to fit at an angle here, and you'll see what I mean. It has to tilt in, and it's also got to tilt that way as well, so this has got to be shaped in here. And also this edge in here has got to be slightly angled as well. And then once you've done all that and glued it together, I put grip fill in here, and I put a little screw in here just to help you know, with it. I mean, this is quite solid now, but when you actually put the thing together, it's quite fragile, but it's nice and solid now. And then I put a nice line of grip fill all the way around here just to give it a bit of strength as well, and on this side too. So that's it all together, and I'm quite happy with it. My only problem being with the kind of look I'm going for, it's maybe just a bit too heavy for me. You know, okay for a young lad, but it's a bit too sort of flash for an old guy driving about. So I was undecided, and I might even change the colour yet to a black one. But there's going to be a wee change with this car anyway, after, you know, I had the deer up in Mull, and in the end I might just go for another TDI and retain a lot of parts off this car. But I'll show you just now, you know, what I've got another bonnet for it, and that's the old bonnet here. You can see the dents in it, and I put this new bonnet on, but it still doesn't fit right, and you can see the big gap up here. And what's actually happened is that it's not just the bonnet, but it's the subframe underneath has been pushed back, so this push-in thing here would barely go in, and you've really got to push it in to get the damn thing in, whereas this side's okay, so obviously it's been pushed in slightly more on this side. I mean, it's not bad, but it's not perfect, and I would notice it every time I come out of the car, and I don't like that. Oh, and one other thing, there's normally two little sort of Allen key screws in here, and they would have to be routed out of the PVC. They don't actually do anything, they're just for the looks of the thing, but that would be very easy to do. You just get a router and route out two further holes with a drill, and then just sort of screw them in. But you'd have to paint it first, before you screw them in, and then it would look very similar to the Votex style. So there you have it, the A2 post deer gate, and because of the damage on the front, I had to have a good rethink, and I think I'm going to go for another little TDI. I mean, this is still on the road, but with all the problems I've had with the car, and then hitting the deer was the final straw. It's a problematic little car, and I've never been entirely happy with it, so whether it's an unlucky car or not, I don't believe in that sort of thing, but I've certainly not had much luck with it. So keep watching, you know, there might be a little TDI appear on the scene sometime, and I really do like the silver, especially with these alloys and the black roof. They really go well together, and you never know, the rear spoiler might make a reappearance, but this time sprayed in black. So as usual, I hope it's been of help to anybody who wants to go ahead and make a spoiler. Get in touch with me. I'd like to know if anybody would like the pattern, or would like the panels cut for a spoiler, or indeed a spoiler made for it, because these Votex spoilers are quite hard to get. I'll try and figure out some prices, but certainly if you want to go and make one yourself, it's going to cost you at least £100. You've got to keep this in mind, and that's just to get the materials and to actually make the thing as well, because myself and Ian spent a long time getting those angles right. I mean, I'm talking hours and hours and hours, even maybe 2 days to get those angles right, and then when you get them right, when you put it together, you still got to sort of manoeuvre it around and fill it and join it, and then you've got to make it structurally sound without it weighing, you know, half a stone. I mean, that's very light with it being the PVC. But the problem with the PVC is in the winter it might get fragile, and this is what I would like to know. It should be okay, and I've had experience with PVC signs for years, and it should be okay. So there you have it. I hope you've enjoyed the video. There'll be probably more videos coming on along soon on the A2 and all my other cars as well, and I'm still doing out the van, and I've still got the compact. So thumbs up, please subscribe, and we'll see you again soon.